Cloud computing is the use of computing resources that are delivered as a service over a network, typically the Internet. The growing prevalence of cloud computing can offer great potential to enhance the way we collaborate on tasks in everyday environments. Internet access and Internet-enabled devices are commonplace in countries like Australia, with 9.7 million mobile handset subscribers in Australia with access to the Internet. But what about underdeveloped nations such as those in Africa?
In a rural area, the everyday situation of the village may be that of limited or even no access to the Internet, which hinders collaboration on the cloud. In Africa, for example, a doctor may need to visit 3 villages as part of his day-to-day work and dispense much-needed medical help. He would need to travel to these remote villages, covering distances kilometers apart, and do so in possibly challenging weather and even political conditions. By accessing information on the cloud, the doctor can quickly ascertain that village A lacks clean drinking water, which means not only thirsty villagers but also a lack of proper sanitation and hygiene, and village B lacks proper sources of sugar, a basic commodity. This leads to a poor diet and possibly even malnutrition. The core of the Internet in a box technology is that the village doctor is able to push search terms to the cloud and then pull back information that is relevant to him, even when the Internet is not readily available. Envisage private clouds that are able to talk to each other when certain authentication parameters are in place, allowing linked users a potentially wider range of information to flow from each other.
The challenge commenced with a brainstorming session where the team attempted to define some key terms via social networks. The team then split into 2, Marcus and Mitchell focusing on literature reviews, while Joanne, Pedro and Kayla conducted interviews via Skype and telephone. Participants were sourced online from friends and family of the design team via social networks to gather interview subjects, those who had lived in or spent time in Africa or other developing nations. The Luddites performed 9 interviews with local people from Melbourne and via Skype and mobile with people around the globe in 3 different time zones, gathering data around current practices using technology in these areas and disaster practices. A primary finding of our interviews was there was often what we called a community leader, the hub of the social network, who could be relied on to have information. This was a person of power, a headman or leading figure of the community, such as a doctor. Such figures often knew if a particular individual was okay and did a remarkable amount of filtering of information and rumour for truth-seeking. The figure of a community leader acting as a hub was consistent across contexts where communication technology functioned intermittently. After an iterative design process, eventually ending after a scene from IT Crowd, the idea was formed.
What is it?
This, Jen, is the Internet.